Batley has come into the news again, hasn't it? The present Member of Parliament, Tracy Brabin, became the Mayor of West Yorkshire and so can't be an MP at the same time, and had to resign that seat. This means there's a by-election due to elect another MP, and that's scheduled for the 1st of July. This is not good news for Labour, because Labour isn't doing very well in the north just now. And they have very predictably picked a candidate who has absolutely no track record, no history of public service in any way, no obvious loyalty to the Labour Party. As a matter of fact, I believe that the candidate actually joined the Labour Party only a couple of months ago, if that, in order to run. That's what I heard anyway. There were a few other likely candidates, but in the end, the party decided to run a lady called Kim Leadbeater, whose main claim to the candidacy appears to be that she's the sister of a previous MP, a woman called Jo Cox, a Remainer, who was murdered by a nutter who liked the idea of Brexit a little too much and hated Remainers a little more than was strictly necessary. I'm not trivialising the crime, by the way, even though I would have disagreed most profoundly with Miss Cox on many issues. By all accounts, she was a popular and hard-working public servant, and it was a tragedy that she was done away with in such a dreadful way. I was, though, disgusted by the Remain campaign that got into full gear within hours of her death. She was murdered on the 16th of June, and the vote was due less than a week later, on the 23rd of June. In those intervening days, the media seemed to be spending most of their time following around Ms. Cox, sobbing widower, as he appealed to the voters that for her sake they should all vote Remain. I understand his grief, and I also understand that the entire Remain establishment, and that includes the Labour Party, very cynically used this man when he was not in the best of psychological states to try to get the vote to go their way. I don't suppose it would surprise any of you who might not be keeping up with British politics to know that the leader of the Labour Party at the time was none other than Jeremy Corbyn, who had been elected to that post in September 2015. Corbyn is a man who never lets a good opportunity pass to make the most distasteful choices possible. He's like the man at the all-you-can-eat buffet, who's the only one who chooses the bit of turkey that happens to have salmonella. Anyway, back to the current election. In this case, the threat might have come from the Conservatives, because that's what's been happening. But now there's a fly in the ointment. Our old friend George Galloway has thrown his hat into the ring, and I can't see him losing, actually, because, as I pointed out in my last video, if you're a Conservative and are fed up with the Conservative Party, you may vote Lib Dem. But if you're a Labour voter annoyed with the Labour Party, you either vote for the Conservatives or you vote for George Galloway, because he's standing almost anywhere he can. Personally, I have to admit to being very impressed with Galloway. He's a highly intelligent man, possibly the most intelligent man in British politics today. It's such a shame that he happens to have the morals of a Jeremy Corbyn, actually. Let's put it this way. Galloway and Corbyn seem to be mirror image evil twins. Corbyn admired Chavez and Galloway admired Assad. Galloway is on record as saying that assassinating Tony Blair would be morally justifiable. And while I haven't heard of Corbyn actually saying that political assassination is a good idea, He has invited people to take tea with him in the House of Commons, people who are well known to have done that very thing, a political assassination, I mean. So, Galloway is a political opportunist who's made a career out of finding the weaknesses in various political systems and parties and exploiting them. He started out as a regular Labour MP, well, what else, and represented two different areas of Glasgow between 1987 and 2001. I don't know exactly why he didn't stay in the same constituency throughout, as most MPs do, but he switched from Glasgow Hillhead to Glasgow Kelvin after his first term, and although I don't know for sure, well, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that he just didn't get along with the constituency associations. After 2 terms with the second lot, he left the Labour Party and he started his own party, which he called the Respect Party. And in 2005, he got elected for Bethnal Green and Bow. Then in 2012, Bradford West. Then he dissolved his Respect Party simply because by that time it was a party of one. He doesn't seem to get on with people too well, despite his ambitions to lead them. He then stood as an independent, winning Manchester Gorton. And in 2019, West Bromwich East. And now he's running in Batley and Spen, this time for the Workers' Party of Great Britain, whoever they are. But whoever it is, if you look at all the places he's represented, they have had a substantial population of dissatisfied Muslims. And in Batley and Spen, Galloway has once again gone for such a group. One of the most burning points of dissatisfaction in this case is that Muslims, not all, in the area are annoyed that the Labour Party chose Leadbeater over a Muslim candidate, one of the other options. The annoyance is so great that even some of the paid-up Labour members are canvassing for Galloway. And the campaign seems hardly at all about British politics. I'll get a leaflet now. Where is it? There's a leaflet for, here's a leaflet from the Leadbeater campaign. And what are they talking about? Well, Hamas on the left, that's the left page, left of the page. And on the right, at the top here, it says Kashmir. This is what Leadbeater says. The strongest voices in politics on Kashmir are Labour voices, and I will be one of those. And then she has a direct dig at any Hindus who are in the area. The Conservative links to the BJP, that's the Indian People's Party, which has a strongly Hindu ethic, must not stand in the way of justice for Kashmir. So what we have here is the Labour Party fielding a candidate who's promising to fight a political battle for Pakistan here in the British Parliament. This is what Owen Jones had to say about the situation in a Guardian article. There are over 3 million Muslims in Britain, and in the 2019 election, an astonishing 86% of Muslim voters said they backed Labour. They are core Labour voters. This is an important point to emphasise, because if Keir Starmer's party is defeated here, though that is far from certain, then a narrative will still form that this is a freakish, unrepresentative result, but a failure to acknowledge British Muslims as key pillars of Labour's now crumbling electoral coalition is fueling the crisis for the party. Jones, in other words, says that the Muslim vote isn't talked about as it should be. As usual, he is talking through his fundament. The Labour Party talk of nothing else but the Muslim vote. They follow the Muslim vote and the Muslim whim like a rat follows a trail of crumbs. They snap up whatever votes they can get on the way. The Labour activists think this will get them some sort of dependable political capital, the capital that they squandered from the working classes when they rejected them, started rejecting them 20 years ago, like a gambler trying to gamble back his lost winnings, but it won't happen. Some Pakistani Muslims foam at the mouth about Gaza and stare with burning eyes at reports about Kashmir. Many, I am absolutely certain, just want to get along and make a living. And of course, there is the white working class. We can't forget those. They couldn't give a stuff about Kashmir or Palestine in large parts. I humbly submit that what they want is for someone to deal with the dire educational problems in that area, as characterised by the near riot outside one of the local grammar schools only a couple of months ago, with a teacher now in fear for his life because he mentioned Muhammad in a religious education class. And this is another quote from The Guardian, not by Jones this time, an analysis. Almost 1 in 3 adults in Batley and Spen are economically inactive. That means they're not employed. Far higher than Britain's average of 21%. For those who are in work, residents take home about £130 a week. Take home about £130 a week less than the full-time average for Britain. Moreover, 20% of the constituency's population is of Asian heritage, more than double the UK average, and the Labour Party is sending out leaflets about Kashmir and Palestine. Even though George Galloway won't do anything more for his constituents than he did for the others, when faced with the sort of candidates fielded by the Labour Party and the sort of issues they're going after, what are the voters supposed to do? Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.